Now, I'm seeing this question pop up a lot. Why is the Asian community so quiet on the ICE raid topic? Now, I'm not speaking for all Asian people, but this is just my point of view. My family's from Laos. My parents spent years in refugee camps before being able to come here legally. So a lot of us from a very young age was taught accountability. We were getting lectures after lectures after lectures on doing the right thing, getting our ass beat for doing wrong things. So there are a lot of Asian people that are for deportations of, illegals. And not everybody, okay? Not all Asian people are for it, but I see most of us are. And we understand why you want to come here illegally and skip the process. People just want to live good lives, do better for themselves. But there is a right way of doing things. So if you do come here illegally and get caught, you need to take accountability for your actions. That's why a lot of times if you see an Asian person get deported, we don't make a big fuss about it because, they got to take accountability for their actions. And they know that. We don't have hate towards law enforcement because, they're just doing their part. They're just doing their jobs because they didn't do their part. And we do feel terrible about, or at least I do feel terrible about, families being ripped apart. But, they know the risk involved and they were willing to take that risk. Again, you got to take accountability. And a lot of people refer Asians as, model immigrants because, we are here to better ourselves, get an education, respect law and order. We just don't want any trouble. Like, we want peaceful lives. And so if we do get in trouble for something that we did, then we own up to it. That's it. So my heart does go out to the families of the deported. Hopefully they can find their way back, hopefully legal, so that they may, live peaceful lives. I wish y'all the best.
You want to know an Asian influencer's take on the LA ICE raids, mass deportation, and just do it the right way? So I grew up hearing how hard my family worked to come to the US legally. It took literal decades, and I'm very, very lucky to have been born a citizen. I also grew up in the Bay Area where everyone's an immigrant, documented, and that's how I learned from a young age that the system is extremely unfair and broken, and not everyone even has legal options. What I mean by that is immigration rules have always been based on politics. They're made by people who've never had to follow them and strongly favor certain groups while shutting out other ones. So the just do it the right way or wait your turn paths literally don't even exist for a lot of people, even if they wanted to do it the right way. We have to stop pretending that we live in this neutral, ideal world where everyone has a fair shot. You can believe in rules and be proud of the work your family did to get here legally, but also still acknowledge that the rules were not made and are not applied fairly to everyone. You can also still have empathy for people and their families. If you think good riddance when you see hardworking immigrant families being torn apart, detained, put into horrible, inhumane conditions without due process, you're just a bad person. That's all.
救命啊！救命啊！ Help! I see you now!
What's your name, sir?
Say
your name.
your name.
Undercover ICE agents are abducting and kidnapping people off the street, masked up, without identification or warrant, and is yelling help, and his name, Jingshan, in Mandarin. ICE raids are happening across Los Angeles, and in this video, I'm translating the Know Your Rights cards into both Cantonese and Mandarin.
My parents, my grandparents, they did it the right way. They did it legally. This fight isn't my fight because we did it the right way. If you're a young East Asian American person and you fix your mouth to say something like that, then that tells me you really don't know the first thing about your own history.
It's a pity that I actually have to say I am shocked that ICE are raiding Asians. See, the thing is, just 2 weeks ago, I made a video of how Chinese people were on the internet, or rather, let me say Asian people were on the internet saying, this is what we voted for. As Asian people, we gave Trump our vote because, yeah, we wanted a greater America. We wanted illegals in this country. We wanted peace. We didn't want criminals. So those Latinos, clearly they had to be deported. We voted for DJT because this is what we wanted. And just 2 weeks later to see Asian people on the internet crying that ICE raids are now on them, it's kind of like disturbing. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you more videos, and even now they're even sharing videos on how to protect themselves and how to know the law. Oh my God, I am so shocked. When I tell you I am so shocked, I am extremely shocked to understand that The raids can happen to Asians as well. First things first, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. My name is Matkunda Esther. If you're new here, hi, welcome. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, like, comment, and share. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Super grateful. Thank you so much for all my subscribers, people that love me, support me, my members, people that supercharge me. Thank you so much, y'all. Now, let me tell you, I have been MIA for nearly a week. Yeah, I have been sick. Flu has been taking me and cough. I was coughing blood. I was sneezing blood. I had a fever. It was crazy. So I spent the entire week in the hospital, but I'm back, baby, okay? Like I never left. Now, let me not even waste your time, y'all. Let me show you the videos of the people, and please let me know what you think in the comment section. Does it also shock you to see that Asian people are being raided by ICE?
Are you from here? Oh my God, they're just taking this man, dude. I see you. Ah! Ah!
Dude, you guys.
Ah! Ah!
This is so scary, you
No!
guys. Poor man, dude. Like, so many people are being...
ICE agents are abducting and kidnapping people off the street, masked up, without identification or warrant. And he's yelling help, and his name, Jingshan, in Mandarin.
To all the Asian Americans that are staying silent about what's happening in LA, you think you're safe because you're not Hispanic? Think again, because who do you think they'll come after next? Just remember, you're not white. Those maggots, they don't want you here either.
Illegal immigrants aren't stealing jobs. In fact, the deportation of the undocumented illegal immigrants are what's killing U.S. jobs. That for every 500,000 immigrants that are deported out of the country, 44,000 positions that our U.S. citizens are holding are disappearing because there's a trickle-down ripple effect. Because for every single manual labor job that you have, when you have X amount of employees that are working in the grunt situations of the fields or out in construction or this, that, and the other, you have some type of top tier supervisor, manager, field superintendent watching over these people. With all of these immigrants being deported out of the country, the positions to actually manage over all of those undocumented immigrants is now disappearing because you don't have the workforce anymore in Florida to actually keep that moving forward. In fact, right now as it stands, with all the deportations, which happened from January to March, you had over 36,000 immigrants that were detained and then subsequently deported, which has actually increased our unemployment rate in Florida 7.9%. Now, that being said, there's also case studies that are showing that our inflation is going to rise 9% in Florida because of the economic ripples of undocumented immigrants being taken out of the country. That being said, you also have another issue, which is that cost of living is rising up in amongst also the inflation, which is a gross situation. In fact, our GDP is actually going to drop 8% because of the fact that we now no longer have all of these undocumented immigrants paying into the system. You do not have them paying for taxes. You do not have them using their salaries or their hourly wages to actually pour back into the economy, which means that we have a double-fold issue here. But yet, for all means, let's accuse the immigrants of stealing jobs when it's actually the legislation that's actually costing us the most money. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment, repost. Show your outrage for this.
They're getting deported because illegals leech off the system. Well, that's weird. Then why is ICE grabbing them while they're at work? They wouldn't have to worry about ICE snatching them up if they would just self-deport. But when they do try to self-deport by buying themselves a ticket back to their home country, the day before they're supposed to self-deport, on the day that they're supposed to check in with their ICE officer, they snatch them up off the street and then detain them. Well, they should have done it legally then. But people like Chao Zhu, who has been here legally since 2019 seeking asylum status, were picked up by ICE during his hearing, claiming that he had allegedly broken some sort of immigration law. And even though he has no criminal record, got his master's degree here, and works as a software engineer, he's still being deported. And yes, I was very deliberate in using examples of people that look like me, because it's very obvious and no one is refuting the fact that brown people are being targeted. But people who look like me are pretending like it can't happen to them. Just a quick reminder that East Asians, specifically Chinese, were the first ethnicity to ever be banned from coming into this country via the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. And again, in 1924, when this country, the United States, via the Immigration Act of 1924, banned all Asians, East Asians, South Asians, all of us from coming into this country. So even if it's not just to do the right thing and you're just worried about how it might affect you or someone you know or love, now is the time to speak up and say that this is not right. Thank you, and please stay safe.
A U.S. citizen born and raised here was just racially profiled, arrested by ICE agents, and told that he has no rights despite repeatedly letting them know that he was born and raised in the United States. Let me show you the clip because it is terrifying and honestly so repulsive.
It's a talk, bro. You got no right here. I do. Illegal, brother. Get up. I was born and raised here. What about him? I was born and raised here. I have the right.
They proceeded to call him illegal and tell him that he has no rights here. For everybody who's saying they're not arresting U.S. citizens, you're welcome. But we already knew that.
For any Asian people who are selfish as fuck and are not standing in solidarity to Hispanic people over ICE immigration, just remember you're next and you are not that different from them. You know, all your excuses of it doesn't have anything to do with me, I mean, I'm legal and stuff, they don't care. You're gonna be targeted because keep in mind, you're not white. The system never will see you as white. They see you also as an immigrant. Guess what? After Hispanic people get deported, who's also going to be deported? Asian people. You're not safe from it. You're not white. They're not going to target white immigrants, and they can't target really black people because for a lot of reasons, honestly. So they're going to target you. You're not safe because you perpetuate racism towards other groups all the time. No, you are just as likely to be a target as any Hispanic person, honestly. Like, I fear you should care.
As an Asian American with Asian roots to the Hispanic, Mexican, Latino communities, families, and any other families or communities affected by the immigration rate right now, I give my heart out to you. Children, parents, families, people getting picked up from work, from schools, everywhere, man. What's going on right now is so surreal and so terrifying. It's extremely terrifying. We're living in some alarming, fearful, terrifying, horrifying times right now, and I don't take it lightly. Similarly to the Mexican, Hispanic, Latino families and communities, Asian immigrants also come to the U.S. for a better life or a different life from where they come from, to better their families, to, give their families a better life, give themselves a better life, get an education over here. As Asian immigrants and Asian people, we have also faced dehumanization, discrimination, and hate. Similarly to the Mexican, Hispanic, Latino communities and families. So different colors, we're different cultures, but the struggle is the same. Asian immigrants, they also have to go through the process of naturalization. They have to pay for that. They have to go through the process. It's not easy. It's not cheap. You know what I'm saying? So we also got that similar struggle as well. We all need to put our differences and pride to the side. Look at our similarities, you know what I'm saying? Our similar struggles, our similar pains, and just come together, man. Have human dignity and ethics. We all need to stay unified, man. We're all human. We all bleed the same. If we come together, man, we can create change. Unity and solidarity for all. Don't lose hope.
To all the Asian Americans that are staying silent about what's happening in LA, you think you're safe because you're not Hispanic? Think again, because who do you think they'll come after next? Just remember, you're not white. Those maggots, they don't want you here either.
Here's how you could prevent the deportation of Southeast Asian refugees. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who engaged and shared my previous video on Sammy. Sammy is a Laotian refugee and a community member from New York City who is at risk of deportation and detention. Currently, we are still waiting for updates regarding his case. However, if you want more rapid updates, I highly encourage you to follow Mekong NYC, who has been supporting him. Mekong NYC is an incredible Southeast Asian organization based in the Bronx, serving Southeast Asian immigrant and refugee community members. They do incredible work and even mobilize their youth. So I highly highly encourage y'all support them, follow them, and contribute in any way to allow them to continue their amazing work. Now, based off the comments on my previous video, there was a lot of conversations broadly talking about the deportation of Southeast Asian refugees, and currently Congress just passed a bill that would invest over $100 billion into ICE detention and deportations, and this will continue to separate our community members, our family members, especially within the Southeast Asian diaspora. And so I wanted to share a few policies and different ways you can take action now to prevent the deportation of Southeast Asian refugees and also support those that have already been deported. The first policy I wanted to talk about was the Southeast Asian Relief and Responsibility Platform. This platform is basically talking about how the United States can take accountability for the violence that is used against the Southeast Asian diaspora, especially back 50 years ago with the Vietnam War, the secret bombings of Laos and Cambodia, and playing a part in the Khmer Rouge. This platform has two different parts. The first part focuses a lot on the deportation and the separation of Southeast Asian families and community members. It would end ICE check-ins. It would allow those to work legally. It would reopen deportation cases, and it would even allow those that have been deported to come back. The second part of this national policy platform is to push for long-term accountability for the US government, which includes supporting the victims of Agent Orange, which is basically a chemical that the US military used that has severely impacted the health of those in Vietnam and veterans in the United States that served in the Vietnam War. And two, supporting victims of unexploded bombs. Basically, the US dropped over 270 million bombs in Southeast Asia. That includes Laos and Cambodia, in addition to Vietnam. And these bombs that been dropped 50 years ago are still living in villages and the communities of those that currently live in Southeast Asia and are living the devastating consequences of basically the US intervention in Southeast Asia. In addition to the Southeast Asian Relief and Responsibility Policy Platform, you can also urge the governments in Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam to support those that have already been deported in these countries. Often there are not programs that are allowing these individuals to re-enter into society, and for many of them, they escaped the country at such a young age because of the conflict and violence that were going on. And so these programs and basically alternative supportive systems allow these individuals to adapt into a new environment that they don't have memory of. For now, that's just a few ways that you can get involved, and I'm going to put a link in my bio for you to take action. In the meantime, I'm going to create more content and awareness about what's happening to our family members and community members within the Southeast Asian diaspora. There's just not enough coverage or conversations about this, especially on social media and within mainstream media. And I hope that we can build solidarity with other communities of color that is impacted by over-policing and the immigration system. And I hope that this page becomes a safe space and environment for you to receive that information and to have these conversations.
For any Asian people who are selfish as fuck and are not standing in solidarity to Hispanic people over ICE immigration, just remember you're next. And you are not that different from them. You know, all your excuses of, it doesn't have anything to do with me. I mean, I'm legal and stuff. They don't care. You're gonna be targeted because keep in mind, you're not white. The system never will see you as white. They see you also as an immigrant. Guess what? After Hispanic people get deported, who's also gonna be deported? Asian people. You're not safe from it. You're not white. They're not gonna target white immigrants, and they can't target really black people because for a lot of reasons, honestly. So they're gonna target you. You're not safe because you perpetuate racism towards other groups all the time. No, you are just as likely to be a target as any Hispanic person, honestly. Like, I fear you should care.
I can't do them anymore. I can no longer create videos on immigration. I get a lot of tags on immigration videos. The problem is, it's affecting me mentally. I think about it constantly. I don't just create the video, I live it. Like right now, the picture of those children with their hands zip tied cannot escape my mind. It's what I've been thinking about for the last 3-4 days. And I feel like we're powerless because even if we create videos and call attention and awareness, nothing happens. I created a video in the Spanish account and it was a silly video. It was just me singing to a song or something. And someone left me a message and said, wow, this is so unlike you. I follow you because you do a lot of political views and and you raise awareness on what's going on with immigration. And I said, we're all mentally tired. creators are mentally tired. We're exhausted because every day something worse happens than the day before. You know, last week was a mother crying because her children from school were not going to be able to be picked up because she was being arrested. A couple of days ago, a mother was passing out as her 8-year-old is telling her mom, "It's okay, I'm here." Little did he know that he may not be able to see his mother for years. So every day, something new happens, worse than the day before. So if you see me doing something completely out of my norm, I'm taking a mental break.
They can't live without me, I can't live without them.
That's Wei Zhang and his children. They're worried he'll be sent back to China when President-elect Donald Trump takes office.
If my dad were to be deported, it'd tear our entire family up.
He's just my emotional help. He's my physical help. He's our financial help. He's just our dad.
Just thinking about the things that would happen, the hardships that would emerge from my dad's loss, his deportation.
It's an emotional topic for the family. Wei says he immigrated from China more than 30 years ago.
My mom brought me here when I was 17. I got my B2 visa from Hong Kong, and I overstayed my visa.
Wei is now married to an American and has gotten several work permits over the years. He's been an electrician and has owned restaurants in the area. He claims he's applied for green cards and visas, but he says there have been complications along the way.
Every time I tried to get my legal paper right, I always got denied.
Now he's working with attorney Michael Piston out of New York. Piston says recently he's gotten an influx of calls.
There are people who are very concerned about this issue, and yes, we've gotten quite a few calls about it.
Wei says he's had a final deportation order for the last 15 years, meaning at any point he could have been deported. But for more than a decade, he's had a check-in with ICE, and he's hoping he doesn't have to leave his home and his family behind.
Asking President Trump not to do mass deportations. Please look at every case differently, not just close your eye and say zero tolerance.
Stop Asian hate and start by abolishing ICE. As Asian Americans, we know that attacks on immigration harms our communities. It's not a secret that our immigration system is violent and racist, and much of it actually started towards Asians. Did you know that Chinese migrants were the first illegal immigrants? The original efforts to police the US-Mexico border were designed to keep Chinese immigrants out. The Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 was the result of a national campaign to exclude Chinese people out of racist fears. Chinese immigrants resisted the ban by entering through the southern border, forming connections with Mexicans along the way. The U.S. responded by supplying special agents known as Chinese catchers to find and deport those without documentation. This became the origins of the U.S. Border Patrol, founded in 1924. The same year that President Calvin Coolidge declared America must remain American and signed the Immigration Act outlining which immigrants are most desirable, effectively banning almost all Asian immigrants. Most of the ban stayed in place until 1965 with the Immigration and Nationality Act, which was won and fought for through the Civil Rights Movement. ICE is only 22 years old. Legally Blonde is literally older than ICE. The Homeland Security Act led to the creation of Department of Homeland Security and ICE. Muslim, Arab, and South Asian Americans were targeted, profiled, detained, and deported. Rather than to ensure safety, we know its true function has always been to expand surveillance and control over immigrant communities. ICE is now targeting all immigrants, indiscriminately showing up to places of work, snatching people from courts, hospitals, and even their children's schools. Southeast Asian communities are 3 to 4 times more likely to be deported by ICE for old convictions than other immigrant communities. As Asian Americans, it's our duty to fight ICE deportation and protect immigrants. From mass incarceration and exclusion policies to migrant labor exploitation and travel bans, our history of resisting border policing and detention goes back for generations. We end cycles of harm and violence at their root causes. Stop Asian hate means abolish ICE now.
Hey friends, I literally have like 2 minutes to chat with you before I clock in for work, but I don't know about you, but on my For You page, I have been seeing Asian brothers and sisters being picked up by the green monsters, the ogres. When we see that injustice for our Asian brothers and sisters, or for our blacks, or for our black brothers and sisters, or for our alphabet mafia brothers and sisters, or Middle Eastern brothers and sisters, when anybody's getting picked up by ICE, by these green monsters, and they are monsters, they're not human, these ogres, we need to stand up against that as well. We need to make sure that we are vocal in stating that we are not in agreement with what is happening. For our Asian brothers and sisters, we stand with you. For our Black brothers and sisters, we stand with you. For our Middle Eastern, we stand with you. For any other brother or sister that is not considered what the Cheeto Puff Orange Man thinks is an American citizen, which is blonde, blue-eyed, light skin. For anybody that is in fear of getting picked up by ICE, we definitely stand with you. We need to be fierce like we are for our own people. We need to be fierce for our others, brothers and sisters in the same battle, on the same boat, against the same fight. All right. Hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe, stay vigilant, protect each other, and sound the alarm. If you see these green monsters around your neighborhoods, sound the alarm. Start honking, start screaming. They're here. Something to alert our people. I know that alerting them has helped so many get away from these green monsters, and I hope that continues to be the case. Again, let's stick together, brown, black, Asian, Middle Eastern, and everybody that is against what is going on, the unjust, the unlawfulness. Let's stick together, protect each other, stay vigilant, and hope you have a great day. There's always hope. There's always hope, and I will never give up hope on my end. I will never give up hope that this is going to stop soon. Talk to you guys later.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.